Yay. Okay, cool. So welcome to day one of the virtual detox. Just a few logistics. I was just talking before I started the recording. So we have a Telegram group and we have a Telegram channel. The Telegram group is an interactive place. It's where we can all be communicating with each other, typing, responding, having conversations. I love the interaction of the Telegram group. Telegram channels are where you can post, like the admins can post to make announcements about things, but they're not as interactive. So I really like to use the group more than the channel, but I cannot actually go live in a Telegram group with more than 30 people. So we have the channel for live stream videos. So if you're in both the group and the channel, then you can be live with me when I stream. And if you're not in the channel, then you'll see this later on. I record it and then I share it to the group, and you can watch it there later after the fact. So just to kind of give you all a lay of the land of how we do things around here. And this is actually like really part of why I wanted to do this virtual detox, is because I really, technology it really is a gift. It can be such a gift. And I'm really grateful for technology, really grateful for all of you beautiful people I feel like I have met so many people all over the world since starting to use, social media and the beauty of technology, Facebook, Telegram, Zoom, all the different platforms. I don't use a lot of the other ones like Instagram and LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. Haven't really taken a dive into those yet. And I may not, and that's part of the inspiration for this virtual detox is, what would it be like to really use technology as the gift that it is, and really change anywhere in your life that it is a distraction or a burden, because it can be both. And for me, it is definitely a gift. It is also definitely a distraction, and it is definitely at times a burden. And I'm asking for something different with that. A lot of you have heard of, maybe some of you are reading the book Deep Work. And Deep Work is this beautiful book. It's by a man named Cal Newport, where he really talks about, the distracted mind and the distracted worker, and how we are popping around all of the time and, just distracted by technology and by how things are set up these days, and encouraging you to actually choose to have periods of what he calls deep work, where you're setting it up so that you're not distracted. Maybe you turn your Wi-Fi off if you're working on your computer, or you're out in nature, or you're writing something by hand even, But setting aside these chunks of time in our day, in our schedule, in our lives, whether it's a chunk of time every day or chunks of days, where you can actually really dive into things, into meaningful work that is undistracted. And I started listening to this book, and it really started changing a lot of things for me. Because one of the things that was showing up for me is I was noticing that I felt like my mind was kind of weak in terms of my ability to focus. And I was like, wow, I am having a hard time concentrating on one thing. And I'm actually writing a book right now. And I'm doing it in a really different way, which is cool. It's working for me how we're doing it. But I was noticing things like that, where it's you can't write a book and be distracted, right? You've got to, when you're going to sit down and write, you need to not be distracted. For me, at least, I can't be distracted. I want to dive into it. I want to get into a groove. I want to get into the depth of that process, right? And there are things like that in my life, whether it's in my work world or in my life in general, where I need to, like, if I'm going to do yoga, I need to like put my devices away and do yoga, and sometimes I'll be doing yoga on a device where I'm, doing an online class or something like that. But the point is, I'm not messaging people and texting and blah, 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 and that's the beauty of, there's so much, we have so much connectivity through all the apps and all the places, and it's made the world like so much smaller in a beautiful way, of connecting us. Like, I know there's people here on this video that are in Australia and Europe and Asia and the United States and Canada and, all over the place. And that's so cool, and I look at, like, I grew up without technology, I'm 50 years old. So we didn't really have computers. I got my first computer when I went to college in 1989. So, for 18 years, I didn't have computers. We obviously didn't have phones until much later than that. And I think back to that sometimes, and I think, what did we do? What did we do without devices and apps and all this like hyper connectivity, and in a lot of ways, it's like, wow, we had conversations, we got together with people. Like I used to like talk on the phone with friends, and there was more like belly to belly, so to speak, interactions with people. Now, the downside of that is that your circle was smaller and it was, less, global. And I love knowing people all over the world, having friends all over the world, being in touch with people every single day, all over the world. But there's also that piece of like, oh, my phone's pinging and ringing and dinging and zinging, where like there's a piece that we get distracted away from by all of that. And, this is probably not new information for anybody here, but part of why I wanted to do this. And so for me, I just sort of do better when if I'm going to challenge myself to something, I do better when I like invite other people along. I love doing that. This is why I do a lot of like 30-day things and 21-day things and whatever, is because I do better if like I'm accountable to show up to beyond just me, showing up to do a video every day or whatever it may be. I do so much better with, that kind of a structure. And in a way that I guess you could say that's a level of deep work of going, okay, I'd like to commit to this. Like I'd like to commit to changing how I interact with technology, changing how I interact with all my apps and all of my messaging platforms and all of my, devices, and actually using it as the gift, receiving the gift that it is. And then when it's not going to be a gift, walking away from it, having less screen time, having more time in person with people, having more time, on the yoga mat or whatever it may be with my body, because, I look at like my teenagers and they kind of don't know what to do without their devices, and that's not the world that I want to live in. I love being in nature, being with people, having conversations, So I've really had to look for myself at, okay, what's true for me and what would I actually like to choose with all of this? And really have to like get into question with that and be inviting myself and demanding of myself to make different choices when it comes to technology, because it's very easy to just grab your phone from the habit of it. And, whatever you do, and so my invitation to all of us during this 5 days is to really start to look from a different point of view. And we'll play with different, kind of like maybe challenges each day or different conversations each day for the next 5 days. And I invite you to really engage with this, if this is something that you've been asking for. So the first challenge would be to identify when technology is a gift for you. Like you're on your computer and it's a gift, or you're on your phone and it's a gift. Okay. And then identify when it is not a gift, when you are using it to distract you, when you're using it because you're bored, you don't know what else you would do. You're using it to be busy because you think you need to be busy. And start to notice this. Okay. So let's have the first day be about just the awareness, and you might change some of your behavior. If you want to really go, dive into it, you might change some of your behavior right away. But at least have this conversation in your world. Okay. I'm on my computer right now. I'm on my phone right now. I'm on my tablet right now. Is this creating and generating a greater future for me, for my body, for the world, for my life, for my business? Or is it diminishing? Is it generative or is it degenerative? And be honest with yourself about that. Really look at that. And if you want to just be in that question for the first day, maybe you don't even jump off of your device when it's degenerative, and that's one of the things I've been doing is I've, because I started this already as one does, right? Before a class or whatever this is. I start as soon as I get the idea, I'm like, okay, I'll start doing this. So notice, so one of the things that I've been doing is I'll notice, I'm totally distracting myself right now. Like I did this lesson. I was like, the virtual detox starts tomorrow. And I was, scrolling on Facebook last night, totally aware that I was distracting myself. I was like, I'm just going to keep scrolling and liking and commenting and whatever. And, and the cool thing is I'm like, I have a really cool Facebook feed. I'm really grateful about that. I have some really amazing people in the world that I get to, peer in on their world. So scrolling Facebook isn't necessarily degenerative, but when it is, that's the thing is there are moments where you're like, oh, I'm going to go see what's going on. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be. I'm going to go check in and see what my peeps are up to or whatever, however you use it, right? See what's up in the world. Watch something that inspires me, whatever. But then the moment when it tips into, okay, now I'm wasting my time. Now I could be doing something that's so much more generative. And you may not even know what it is. That's the thing, is that this is a conversation of vulnerability with ourselves because you may not know. And this is one thing I've been really watching is when I'm like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm on my social media and it's degenerative. It's not actually contributing to, like, I could be doing something that's a lot greater, and one of the things I want to just mention there too is please refrain from judging yourself, because this isn't about judging yourself, right? That's one of those moments where we could really go into the judgment of ourselves and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm wrong, but that's not what this is about. This is about the awareness. This is about getting awareness of something, of what is working and what isn't working, and beginning to ask for the awareness of a different possibility. So going, okay, cool. This is degenerative right now. I can still choose it knowing that I'm choosing that, like, okay, cool. I know it's degenerative and I'm going to choose it. And I'm going to acknowledge that I'm choosing degenerative and I'm not going to judge it. There's a lot of freedom in that. And when you do that, you're also, ironically, you open up a space for you to have a different choice as well. So that's cool, is when you acknowledge what you're doing, you acknowledge that it's not your best choice, but you're not going to change it and you don't judge yourself for it, then all of a sudden you're way more likely to make generative choices because you're not resisting yourself anymore, but for day one, let's explore, generative or degenerative, and don't judge you, and if you want to choose something different, choose something different, and that's one of the things I've been asking myself is, okay, what else could I be doing right now? Because a lot of my work is on the computer. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm setting up live classes with bodies. Like I'm doing some body process classes all over, wherever I am, basically, who wants to come and do a body process class. So having more, like scheduling more in-person time with people. Like I did a trade with a friend last night. My son and I went out to dinner. That was really great because, we're all on electronics at home. And if we have dinner here, it's going to be a quickie. He might have his phone. I might have my phone, whatever, But I was like, let's go out to dinner. We went out to dinner. We sat at the bar. We talked to the bartender. We talked to each other. We had a conversation, and we weren't on our electronics, So sometimes it involves things like that where you need to get out or you need to schedule something or you need to like go for a hike or, whatever it may be. But begin to just see, okay, if I don't want to be spending this much time here on these devices, then what else can I add to my life? What else can I put in place? What else can I choose here? How else can I use my time that would create something different? And I just want to say again, it's like, it may take some rewiring and adjusting in your schedule and your life and your system to actually reintroduce in a way things that do not involve electronics, because we're so used to being on electronics that I know for me, I'm like, what do I do if I don't want to be on my computer or my phone right now? What do I do? So one of the things I've been buying, like actual physical books, because I have all my books on my phone, which I enjoy that too. It's great to have a book, and read if I'm waiting in line somewhere and I don't want to be on social media. Maybe I pull up the book on my phone. That's another way to use electronics generatively, but sometimes I don't want to be on the device. So I've been buying more physical books. I bought up some paint to paint my house, things like that, where it's like, cool, if I'm not going to be on my computer or on my phone on a device, what am I going to be doing? Set it up. Like for painting, I needed to buy the paint and the supplies, so I got that together. It's like at any moment I could spring into action and paint. I haven't yet done that, but I'm hoping to get to that today. So in summary, notice when you're on your devices, is this generative? Is this degenerative? If it's degenerative, well, if it's generative, great, keep going, and see what else you can add. If it's degenerative, notice that. Notice the energy of it. Notice how it affects your body. Do you want to keep choosing it? If you do, don't judge yourself, but notice that you're choosing to stay with a degenerative activity, right? No judgment, just, okay, cool, I'm choosing this right now. If you would like to change it, choose something different. And if you don't know what else to choose that's different, start to ask about that. Just start asking the universe, asking your body, what else could I include in my life that is not technology? What other projects could I do? What creations could I have? Things like that. Maybe you cook or I love making cocktails. That's really fun for me. I'm going to create a cocktail book, and I'm going to start creating the cocktail book I have a lot of my recipes actually written down by hand. So I decided that the way I'm going to start with my cocktail book it's not going to be done electronically. It's actually going to be done, at least in the beginning, by hand with paper and pens, because that's fun for me. It's just sensual and fun, and eventually, of course, it will go into electronic form. But it's these things where it's like, because if we could be choosing, what would it be like if everything that you chose was generative for you? Whatever that means, whatever that looks like. How cool would that be? What would your life be like? What would you be creating? How creative would you be? And that like increases our money flows. I mean, there's so much that changes when you're in that dynamic of a level of creation. And to me, that's a big part of what this is about. So that's day one. I don't know if they will be long or short after this. I guess this is maybe 20 minutes long. So might probably be shorter from here on, but who knows? Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of this. Please feel free to tell your friends. This is open to anybody. The easy way to get to the Telegram world, my Telegram world, is heathernichols.com/Telegram. That takes you to the Telegram group. And from there, you can find the link to the channel to be on live here, but these will always be posted in the group as well. So thanks, guys. And I will be announcing every day what time I'm going to be going live. I don't know about tomorrow yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I know. Okay, see you then.